Now, this week on Euronews, we're looking in depth at the impact of climate change and the issues affecting the environment. It's all part of our series, Green Tomorrow. The most comprehensive health check of the EU's environment ever undertaken has found that unsustainable farming, urban sprawl and pollution are the main culprits for the decline of our natural environment. The new report states that as much as 81% of protected habitats are in poor condition and that most protected species have either a poor or bad conservation status. It concludes that unless fundamental changes are made to the way we produce and consume food, manage forests and build cities, decline in Europe's biodiversity will continue to threaten thousands of animal species and natural landscapes. Well, joining us now from Copenhagen is Carlos Ramo, an expert in biodiversity and ecosystems with the European Environment Agency, who compiled this report. Thank you very much for speaking to us. I've sort of given a brief overview of the findings, but just tell us in real terms, what does this mean, these findings mean for our animal populations and the diversity of the animal populations?
Yeah, good morning, Rosie. Thank you for having me. It's basically what we see in this report is just a bit the tip of the iceberg about the biodiversity in Europe, all the diversity of animals and plants. And as you rightly said, the numbers are pretty grim. And therefore, this is also very much linked to the issue of climate change. We speak often about the crisis. But there is also a biodiversity crisis that is connected to climate change too.
And what's sort of the impact of a biodiversity crisis?
Well, we've seen the reduction of the populations of the different species. We have been losing very vast areas of wetlands, grasslands, also the marine environment in terms of the diversity and the quality of our seas has been degraded. And of course, this also has an impact because we all depend on the livelihoods of nature to support our economies.
So what measures are needed? Because the report is fairly damning. What measures are needed if there is hope to try and combat some of that decline?
Well, basically, what we see is that there is a need for the countries to better implement the legislation that already exists and that provides support to biodiversity. That's one side of the coin. But then there's the other one, which is probably more fundamental, and you have mentioned it in your introduction, is basically we need deep transformation in the different systems we have to produce food, how we build cities, how we produce and use energy, etc. So those are those fundamental changes that will, at the end, make a difference.
And what about individual responsibility? Because I might listen to your answer there and just think, oh, well, I can leave it up to, the government running the country that I live in to deal with this. Are there things that we can do sort of piecemeal individually that would have some kind of impact?
Well, I think there are the basic things we can do in our daily life in terms of the way we, for instance, the type of food we buy. We know that consuming locally products reduces the impact of transport of many of the things we consume. There is also an issue that is linked when we in the report talk about urban sprawl. It's urban sprawl and also activities linked, for instance, for tourism. And we know that the way we spend our holidays, sometimes we maybe should think where we should go and what kind of activities we do. Some are very damaging for nature in general.
Thank you very much for just unpacking some of the findings from that report. Carlos Ramo, expert in biodiversity and ecosystems with the European Environment Agency. Thank you very much.